Welcome into the first official episode of the ILL segment of the Coach Steve Show podcast. We've talked about Illinois sports on this podcast for a long time, and I figured it was time to give it its own thing. So it's the ILL segment of the Coach Steve Show. So make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel to get updates on here. It's going to be everything about University of Illinois athletics. Mainly been football, basketball. I'm going to try to get into women's basketball, talk about that. So anything that has to do with the University of Illinois is on the Coach Steve Show on the ILL segment. So we're getting this going. Couldn't be more excited to have it going and give it its own thing. I'm going to tell you right now, it's exciting to have college football back. College football being back, it makes everything better. I'm a much bigger fan of college football than I am in the NFL, and it kicked off this past weekend with week 0. Now we're heading into week 1 officially for the season. We had a couple games there, and it's starting this Thursday. This Thursday will be considered week 1 of the college football season, which means Illinois football is back. University of Illinois, their football season is going to kick off Thursday night against my alma mater, Eastern Illinois University. There's going to be another segment, which is going to contradict myself here for the first episode. We're going to have different segments of the show, so I want to give a quick update about that. We have the Bear Down segment that we've been doing for a while. Zach Heilman and I are committed to giving you weekly episodes on the Chicago Bears. We'll be having that next week as they take on the Tennessee Titans. We're always going to have Illinois football preview and hopefully post-game of the games of football, basketball, everything Illinois. And we're also going to have Bleed Blue, which is going to be about Eastern Illinois athletics and may only be about football. It's hard to keep up with all the sports, but it's going to be about Eastern Illinois football. So, yes, I'm contradicting myself here with having 2 different segments here on the Coach Steve Show, and they both play each other first. So this is going to be a tough one for me to try to keep it civil and keep it the best well-rounded that I can make it. So this segment is the ILLINI. So we're going to mainly focus here on Illinois, and then I have another episode coming out Thursday, the first of all, on the Coach Steve Show called Bleed Blue, EIU, Bleed Blue, Go Panthers. So this one, Illinois takes on Eastern Illinois football. They have not played for a few years. They used to open up with each other because Champaign-Urbana is only about 45 minutes north of Charleston, Illinois, where Eastern Illinois is located, where I went to school. And so we're going to talk about keys to the game for the University of Illinois to try to walk away with a win. And then to contradict myself a little bit on the Bleed Blue, we'll talk about how Eastern can walk away with the win. But today we're going to focus on the best I can here of the University of Illinois football program. Illinois is coming off to their standards, a disappointing year, not making a bowl game the year before, getting to that 8-win mark, but losing in the bowl game to Mississippi State. And then coming in last year, new defensive coordinator, second year under Barry Lundy Jr. in the offense last year. You have a new quarterback, new running back, just a lot of different pieces. The offensive line was not staying as healthy as they wanted them to be, and that was going to be a big key thing. And with them not staying healthy, and they also didn't have a lot of depth at that offensive line position. Last year, the University of Illinois, they were competing in games. If you remember some of the games, they were close. They competed. I believe was it the last year or the year before? They were pretty close against Michigan. So they were always in close games. They just couldn't find a way to finish. Some inconsistent quarterback play from Luke Altmaier. He showed a lot of flashes of being a very good quarterback, and then there was times that he showed that there wasn't. They were not staying healthy at the running back position either. They wanted a big year out of Josh McCray, which didn't happen. Kevin Fagion, I always say his name wrong. He showed some flashes, and then he got a little bit banged up. So it was just a lot of inconsistencies, and then the expectation of the defense the year before, for last year, the expectation is that they were going to be just as good as they were the year before when they had a dominant defense, one of the top defenses in the whole country in college football. And I think that was just a lot of pressure. You had a new D coordinator. They want to play man. The year before, they played a lot of man coverage because they were able to bring a lot of pressure. They lost a lot of guys to the NFL draft, and so a lot of pressure was being put on them last year, and they had to develop, and they had to try to figure out a way this year to establish what they did not establish last year. And so I had an episode about this. I was very blessed. I've had Coach Bart Miller on twice on the show. He's the offensive line coach there at Illinois. And I got to go down to a spring ball practice. It was the very first day of pads, and I got to see the practice. I got to see a lot of the players up close. And it was a very well-run practice. It was like a well-oiled machine. And the offensive line looks a lot better. They have a lot more depth at that position. They have different wide receivers now with Isaiah Williams being gone. He's one of the key playmakers for the Illinois team. He is now gone and moved on. Their wide receiver group seems a lot more balanced. They got transfers in that could really help in that position, and a guy that they can finally throw the ball to. And just that was one of the things Illinois, I think, has been missing. They've been missing consistent quarterback play, and they've also been missing out on just somebody that they can get the ball to, not just in jet sweeps. Isaiah Williams, as good as he was transitioning to the wide receiver spot, you just had to get him the ball a lot of times on jet sweeps, screens, just not a guy that you could really throw the ball up to. You know, it's 3rd and 3, and they're expecting run and just have somebody to throw the ball up to. Illinois now has a couple of those guys on their team, and as long as they have consistent quarterback play, they will be just fine, and that's the way they're going to roll. If that offensive line stays healthy and that depth comes into play, they will be just fine moving forward. They have a tough schedule, and they're trying to bounce back from last year. They want to score more points. Last year, they averaged 24 points a game while giving up 29, which is not where they were the year before. They had 1,791 rushing yards. They gave up 2,000 yards rushing. So again, little pieces that they want to fix. They average 7 yards per pass attempt. They want to continue to get better on that. They had 4,692 total yards of offense. They had the ball for 28 minutes of the game. So just a lot of different things that they want to fix. Scoring in the red zone, not giving up sacks. They gave up 24 sacks, which is a lot, and losing 183 yards on that. Turned the ball over 17 times, and they fumbled it 17 times, and they gave it up 10. So just a lot of those little things that they want to fix. Before we really talk about the matchup versus Eastern Illinois University, people are talking about, is this a big year for Coach Brent Bielema, right? You're heading into year 3, and I always say that NFL moves a little bit faster. College coaches, they do need, I think, that 3 to 5 year window mark to see if things are going in the right direction and going the way that the athletic director plans and the head football coach plans, or heading into year 4, and so he's in that window. And so his first year winning 5 games, we're heading in the right direction. Big time season the next year. We were like 7-1 and ended up only winning 8 games, getting to a bowl game. So the next step last year, we were all kind of expecting, okay, they win 8 games. We're expecting around 8 wins. And if we're expecting around 8 wins, we're looking at bowl game. We're looking at to see if you're competing in the Big Ten. And are you even in the consideration for the Big Ten title? They were in that consideration the year before, and then last year it kind of fell off a little bit. So I feel like people are saying that it is a big year for Coach Brent Bielema, and some are reporting that he could be on the hot seat. I'm not in that camp of putting Coach B on the hot seat. I don't think we're at that point yet. It kind of depends on how this season will go. Bryce, yeah, go Panthers. Bryce, haven't seen you on here in a long time. Don't worry, on Thursday before the game, I will be home and I will do a Bleed Blue segment about Eastern Illinois. Bryce, this is a hard one for me. We're both Central Illinois guys. I grew up a U of I fan, like probably most, like Bryce knows, being in a town over. Grew up a big Illinois fan. So this is a tough one for me when they're playing Eastern, and I've built a relationship with the coaches there. Coach Dickerson, Coach, those everybody, head coach, offensive coordinator, offensive line coach, strength coach, one of my former players, coaches at Eastern. So, this is a tough one, and you'll get more of that on the Bleed Blue segment where I try to keep up with everything else. Bryce, got to get you to the game. Nathan will be there. Bryce, I would love to go, but But you know what? I live 2.5 hours away. We got work and our own game Friday night. I don't think I can make the drive and turn around and drive back. I could be divorced if I did that. But Bryce, I am trying to get to the. I can't remember who you guys play. There was a game I wanted to try to get to, and I can't remember, but there was a game. But I do need to come visit Charleston. I'll be down there. Bryce, I hope that everything's going well. And, I talked to Coach Kavanaugh, great offensive line coach. He was a great guy. Bryce's name's been mentioned on the podcast a few times. But back to Coach B for a second. I'm not in the camp of him going on the hot seat. I think it kind of depends how this season goes. If they win 5 games, I think if they win 5 games, that Coach B would put himself on the hot seat next year. Like he would just do that himself. He has high expectations for himself and high expectations for the team. If they go to a bowl game, I don't think he's on the hot seat. What I give college coaches, and this is kind of before the times of the transfer portal and name, image, and likeness, you have to see improvement, right? So whatever your first year is, you have to see improvement. Sometimes that is the win and loss column, and sometimes it's not. It's, are you seeing progress in certain areas that needed to be fixed? And I think recruiting and transfer portal stuff, Coach B has attacked it. I think keeping, I know they lost some coaches when his head coach, when Coach Walters went to Purdue, but they've kept their coaches and they don't lose a lot to the portal. And just being there to practice, feeling the culture and feeling everything, I think that stuff is going in the right direction. I got you. You need a home game for sure. I'll be able to watch the rest after practice. Bryce, good luck at practice. Tell Coach Wilkerson, all of them, I said what's up. And they got to get me to a game at some point. Like I said, it's going to be real tough because I'm a Panthers fan and I want them to win all their games. I'm an Illinois fan and I want them to win all their games. This is going to be real tough. So I'm not putting Coach B on the hot seat. I'm not saying that his seat is warm, but I do think we need to see some improvement. And talking to Coach, I got to meet Coach B for a few minutes, which was awesome. Talk to the other coaches. They have super high expectations of themselves this year. They have a tough schedule, but they have to start off on the right foot here against Eastern. And again, I got to be careful what I say. I'm going to wear like a Illinois hat and Eastern shirt or vice versa. Like I got to represent both on Thursday. Like it's going to be weird. And so like, again, this segment is about Illinois. So if you're EIU, maybe I don't want to tell you not to watch it, but let's talk about keys to the game for Illinois, how they could try to get a win versus Eastern. This is not the olden days where a big Division I program is going to schedule a FCS team and it's going to be a cakewalk win. It's just not that. One of the last times I remember Eastern playing Illinois and Coach Spoo was the head coach, Eastern gave them a run because people don't realize this, and this is no offense to Eastern's other sports. Eastern, I believe, when they hear it, is football. Like that's one of the first things they think about is football. And Coach Wilkerson came from a Division III. He came down there his culture that he's setting there. Like I said, I've built a relationship with those coaches there, and they're doing things the right way. They are building it the right way. And last year, and again, this is not a cakewalk for Illinois whatsoever. This is, last year we talked about Illinois in that Toledo game. Like Toledo's not a pushover either. They have amazing coaches. But people on media, social media, and in the regular media were like, okay, this is a MAC school, you're a Division One, you need to come in and you are going to win this game. That is not the case anymore for a couple reasons. One, the transfer portal. The transfer portal, I don't want to say it's even out college football, but it makes it hard to evaluate sometimes and go by like, well, you're a Division One, you got to beat this team, or you're a such and such team and you got to beat this team. You're ranked here. And like we just watched Florida State. They're ranked number 10. They went undefeated last year. They did not make the football playoff, and they lose to Georgia Tech. And I actually said this to people. I said, Georgia Tech has a really good run game. So if they wear down Florida State and Florida State lets them stay around, this can be a win. So that's kind of where college football has become, even at the FCS level. Because think about it. If certain high school guys 8 years ago maybe usually going Division One, well, maybe they're not going as Division One as much because of the transfer portal. They're able to plug in an older guy that has had some experience. Some of these high school guys are going to go to FCS. They get developed. Maybe they fall in love with the school and stay there. Some guys that enter the transfer portal, they don't find a home thinking that they're going to go to Division One and they're going to go FCS. Now, again, FCS is amazing football. So it's an amazing football league. There's a lot of great football programs, and Eastern is one of those historic teams that constantly will battle you. Eastern last year went 8-3. They were 4-2 in their conference. So already, and they won tight games. So they know how to finish, they know how to compete, and they know how to not let things bother them when crap hits the fan, right? That is who they are. That is the culture that has always been at Eastern, and Coach Wilkerson and company are continuing that. So for Illinois' keys to this is they cannot come into this game thinking this is an FCS team that's just going to come in here. We're paying them to come here, and we are going to walk in and just beat them, because Eastern is going to be physical. Their defensive coaches and the defensive guys they have and the guys they have coming back, they are going to be physical. Okay. They gave up 19 points a game last year, which to some seems like a lot, but in college football nowadays, you want that. That's not giving up that much points, especially when they were averaging almost as much as Illinois. They're averaging 23.64. So they were averaging almost as many points as Illinois, and they gave up less points. And the OVC is a tough conference. It is a very tough conference. Eastern does have players coming back. They have their quarterbacks coming back. Pierce Hawley, their running back. MJ Flowers is coming back. So it's a backfield that is very veteranized. They understand what's going on, and they have a veteran defense. And Illinois' keys to this is they cannot turn the ball over. They have to convert on third downs, and they have to move the ball on first down. We talked about the sack numbers. Okay, they cannot allow sacks to happen. They cannot allow 3rd and 2s to not be converted. And then their defense cannot allow Eastern Illinois to just run the ball wherever they want. And they have to rattle a veteran quarterback. Okay. Their quarterback came back. Their running back came back. So we're talking about how Illinois doesn't lose guys to the transfer portal. Neither does Eastern. They lose a couple, but they all came back. And Eastern did not make the playoffs last year, okay, when they should have. 8-3 team. Really? Like they should have, right? They competed to win the OVC. They beat Illinois State, which is really, you want to talk about, I talk about Eastern being known for football. Illinois State's known for football, and they beat them in a close game. So they have all of this stuff, right? They led the FCS. They forced 25 takeaways. So Illinois cannot afford to turn the football over. They cannot afford to try to do home run balls. And they have to be able to convert on third down. Their defense has to be able to come out this year. And you know what? If they're not a man team, 2 years ago we were a man team. We could play man. We could play match zone. We could play cover 2 with man underneath of it. We could play the robber coverage because we had the really good safeties and corners that could do that. And we had guys up front that could get pressure. Last year, they tried it and just couldn't do it. It felt like when Bielema first got there, they wanted to play a lot of man. Couldn't happen. They had to kind of convert it to zone. That kind of happened last year. Now they have some transfers in, so maybe they're able to do it, but it starts up front and it ends up front. So if you can get pressure and move around this veteran quarterback, confuse them a little bit, and put them in uncomfortable situations, put them in longer down and distances, now you have a chance. But Illinois right now, unproven, because it's game one, a lot of the turnovers, they cannot afford all of that, especially against a veteran FCS team with a veteran coaching staff. Eastern is going to come in very prepared. They're going to come in very hungry because of not making the playoffs last year. They are very determined, and they want to start off on the right foot. This game, you could kind of say it's nothing to lose, right? So if you're Illinois, you have to come in and say, we have to put our foot down on any opportunity that we have. So if it's 2nd and 2, we have to convert that. We can't afford to take a sack. We cannot afford to not convert this. So they have to convert on 3rd down. They cannot turn the ball over. And they have to make sure that Luke Altmaier is comfortable in the offense. I also think they're going to have to get Luke Altmaier involved in the run game. Watch him in the spring practice. He's actually very quick. He's very fast in person. So I think more runs involved with him. The running backs are going to have to step up. You no longer have Brown in the backfield or his brother playing safety. You have to establish a run game and get a running back put together. Their running backs are big. They are some big boys, and they are fast. The O-line's have to come out with a chip on their shoulder. And talking to Coach Bart Miller, he said the entire offensive line came back. They could have transferred. They could have said, this is going wrong. And he said, talking to the entire team, not just the O-line, but if you're just kind of focusing on the O-line here, they felt like they let something slip away last year. So they also have to come in. I was talking about Eastern coming in very determined. They have to come in very determined. And that O-line is going to have to come up and say, hey, they were the talk of the town. Everybody kept blaming the O-line. And I don't understand why, because it wasn't always their fault. As I said, if you watch them as the season progressed, when they were healthy, they were actually pretty good. It was just depth if they got a little bit banged up. So they addressed that. They have to come out and control the line of scrimmage right away. You cannot put yourself in the situation of a Toledo game where things are very close. You're not moving the ball on the ground as much as you should. And no offense, Luke Altmaier, I think he's set to have another big year. He's going to have a much better year. It's going to have a big year this year. I just don't know if you want to put all the pressure on him, especially in the very first game and you're in FCS, because then it starts spinning, right? You're a Division I team. This FCS team comes in. They're keeping the game close. They're doing all this. I don't think you can put all that pressure on him, especially if things are not going well, right? So, and if you're Illinois, you can't hold anything back. You can't, as an offense, say, well, I'm going to save these plays when we play a Big Ten school, when we play Oregon. Yeah, it might be on film, but you have to do everything you can. You have to win this game if you're Illinois to start off on the right foot. So you can call this a trap game, which I am. This is a trap game week one. You don't want trap games week one, because if you lose, I'm not saying that your whole rest of your season just stumbles. Plenty of other Division I teams have lost to an FCS school and go on to have a good season. But if you're Illinois, right from the get-go, it's a big season for you. Coach Bielema is not on the hot seat, but you have to come in and establish something on offense. You have to have your identity. You have more playmakers now. They have a few more running backs that are pretty big and speedy. You have a very physical offensive line up front. So you have to establish that there. And then on defense, we talk about offensive identity. Defense has to have its identity. Are you a zone team? Cool. If you're a man team, cool. But you better be able to bring pressure. You better be able to force takeaways. And if you don't turn the ball over, then things are going to go your way. Because, again, Eastern took the ball away 25 times, which is a lot. Eastern believes in their coaches and believes in what they're doing, and they are very motivated. So keys for Illinois, you cannot turn the ball over. You got to convert on 3rd downs. You got to get the ball in the hands of your playmakers. We finally have something that you can throw it up to. Luke Altmaier's got to play well, and that offensive line's got to play well. And if you're Illinois' defense, you got to put your foot down, and you got to be physical with them, because Eastern is a physical school. Those are the keys for Illinois to get that win and start off on the right foot. I did the best I could. I'm not talking bad about Eastern, but you got to break it down both ways. Thursday before the game, they play at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Thursday night, Thursday at 5 p.m. Central, I will have a new segment. It's brand new to the Coach Steve Show called Bleed Blue. It will be focused on Eastern Illinois, and we will break down Eastern Illinois' keys to the game for them to try to compete and maybe get a win over the University of Illinois. This is tough because I have a relationship with a lot of coaches at Eastern, and I Coach Bart Miller, I think, is one of the best people and offensive line coaches. And so this is a really tough one for me. I consider not doing episodes, but it's cool to break it down and look at it and think about each team. So that's going to wrap up this first official segment of the ILLINI for the Coach Steve Show. We've talked about Illinois sports for a long time on here, but we've got its own spot. So if you gotta like the video, subscribe to it, and you'll get updates if you're an Illinois fan and talk about it. Like and subscribe if you're an Eastern Illinois person for the Bleed Blue segment. If you're a Bears fan, we got a Bear Down segment. We got a segment for movies and TV shows that are based around Marvel. And then we got talks with different people all over the country in the sports world. So just a lot of things happening. There's something out there for you on this show. So like and subscribe to YouTube channel. Follow right on Apple and iTunes. Twitter's at Coach Steve, at Coach_Steve72. Also the Coach Steve Show on Instagram, Coach Steve72 as well. So check all that stuff out for me. It'd be greatly appreciated. So that's the keys for Illinois in this game versus Eastern Illinois University. Again, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave a comment in the comment section down below as well. College football's back. We are so excited. I hope you're as excited as the rest of us are. We are super excited to have this back for us. And it's just, college football is the best. It's the best. So thank you guys for watching and or listening. This is Coach Steve, and we'll see you guys next time.